Welcome to the Listening Time Podcast. I'm Connor from polyglossa.com, and you're listening to episode 2 of the Listening Time Podcast. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, I can assure you that this podcast will be very helpful for you in practicing your listening skills. So this podcast is for people who want to practice their listening, but who still can't understand native speakers when they speak at normal speed or when they speak with other native speakers. If you can't yet understand native speech like that, then this podcast is perfect for you, because I talk about different topics in this podcast, but I don't read a script. Okay, so I haven't planned what I'm saying right now. I'm not reading anything. I'm just talking naturally as the words come to my brain. And even though I'm speaking naturally with normal words, I'm speaking a little more clearly and a little bit more slowly so that you can understand me better. And so this is the format of the podcast. I talk about a couple different topics each time in a clear and a little bit slower way, but still natural speech. I'm still speaking with the words and phrases and expressions that I would normally say in real life. I also have the transcript available attached to every episode. So if you need the transcript to help you understand what I'm saying, you can find the transcript with every episode. So that should also be very helpful for you. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to talk about 2 different topics. I'm going to talk about breakfast, and I'm going to talk about camping. 2 random topics, but 2 interesting topics. So before we start, remember that if you need more listening practice, you can go to www.polyglossa.com and sign up for our listening practice seminars to practice your listening. The seminars are only $1 each, so make sure to sign up if you want to practice more. Okay, let's get started. Are your ears ready? You know what time it is. It's listening time. All right, so first, we're going to talk about breakfast. This is actually a really good topic for me. This is one of my favorite topics because breakfast is probably my favorite meal of the day, right? We usually have 3 meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or maybe in your country there are more than 3 meals, but in most cultures and most countries, we have some kind of breakfast, right? It's the first meal of the day. So first, I want to tell you a little bit about the American breakfast, the classic American breakfast. People see a certain style of American breakfast when they watch American movies and TV shows, and for the most part, this image of the American breakfast is pretty accurate. But what I would say is that we don't eat this type of breakfast every day. So on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on weekdays, most Americans don't have time to make a big breakfast, right? We have to get ready, we have to prepare ourselves for our day at work, and we don't have a bunch of time to cook breakfast in the morning. So many Americans tend to make a simple breakfast, or they might not even cook anything. They might just eat cereal and milk, right? When I was in elementary school, middle school, and sometimes when I was in high school, I would eat cereal for breakfast. I loved cereal, and it wasn't a bad breakfast. I actually enjoyed this. I'm sure many of the Listening Time listeners, probably enjoy cereal as well. It's good. There's a reason why it's so popular among people everywhere in the world. Some of my favorite breakfasts were, Honey Nut Cheerios, Apple Cinnamon Cheerios, Apple Jacks, a lot of different cereals. But many Americans eat cereal on the weekdays, but on the weekends, we like to eat a bigger breakfast. You've probably seen the American breakfast in TV shows or movies where the family sits down and eats eggs and bacon and pancakes and all kinds of things like that. We don't do that every weekend, for sure, but it's definitely something that we do often, right? Or we like to go out to restaurants to eat breakfast there. So maybe we don't want to cook pancakes at home, but we want someone else to cook pancakes for us. So we go out to some breakfast restaurant on Saturdays or Sundays. This is pretty common. I did this a lot when I was growing up with my family, or even as an adult. I still do this a lot. So breakfast in other countries besides America is very different, right? I haven't traveled to many countries, but in the countries where I have traveled to, I've noticed big differences in the type of breakfast that people eat. So in Europe, for example, breakfast is very small, right? I was really surprised when I first went to Europe, when I was in Spain and in Portugal. I realized that breakfast is not a big meal there, right? If you're from Europe, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For many Europeans, breakfast is simply a piece of bread with some butter or jam, toast, I should say, buttered toast or toast with jam, or some kind of sweet bread or something like that, plus orange juice or coffee, right? And that's it. Maybe in France, people might just eat a croissant and a cup of coffee or a small espresso, and that's it. For me, as an American, that's tough. That's not easy for me to eat and not eat anything else, right? I want a little bit more than that. But I know that some people don't want to eat that much for breakfast, right? I understand that. And I'm sure some of my listeners in other places around the world have even different styles of breakfast, not just like American or European, but something else that I just don't know. So I'd be interested to learn about breakfasts all over the world. And my typical breakfast is kind of like an American breakfast, a typical American breakfast. Nowadays, my wife usually cooks me eggs, bacon, and maybe even hash browns or toast or something like that. Hash browns are potatoes that we eat for breakfast. I don't really know how to describe them very well. They're kind of fried, or maybe they're not. I don't know, but they taste very good. You've probably seen them before. They're called hash browns. So I sometimes eat that. And usually we also eat some fruit for breakfast. So mango, papaya, apples, something like that. Or maybe yogurt, maybe a little bit of vegetables. There's different options, but I definitely love my bacon and eggs for breakfast. I love that combination. So that's one of my favorite breakfasts. And then in regards to coffee is another big part of our breakfast. Not me personally, but Americans in general. People tend to drink a pretty big cup of coffee in the morning. You've probably seen that before. They don't normally just drink small espresso shots. People often drink a big mug of coffee. A mug is the type of cup where you put hot drinks in, like tea, coffee, hot chocolate, etc. It's that cup that has the circular handle on it. This is called a mug. So Americans often drink a mug of coffee. I don't drink coffee in the morning. I like coffee, but it's not part of my morning routine. So for me, it's not that typical. And lastly, the time of breakfast. People eat breakfast at different times in different countries. I know that in some countries, breakfast might be earlier. In some countries, breakfast might be later. I don't really know when the typical breakfast begins for Americans, but I think it depends on people's schedule. If people work early, then they eat breakfast early. If they start work late, then